Let me know. Ain't no backing out, running out. I stay 10 toes. And you know, can't lose control. Ain't no backing out, running out. I'm with you without a doubt. What you talking about? Let me know how you feel. It's a dirty game in the field. I pray to God take the wheel. Cashing out me a meal. Yeah. Cause every day I wake up, I gotta get my cake up. My family depending on me. Got a lot of wants and needs. Counting up blue chips. All I need is you to be down for me. You the one that I need. So tired.
All right, welcome back to the Spot the Ball podcast. It's your host, Ron Wells, and your boy,
Willie Love III.
And we're coming to you live from the MyBillReview.com studios. MyBillReview.com saves you money on all your essential services needs. Give them a call, 561-281-6099. That's 561-281-6099. Home security service, commercial security through Vivint. They also have great deals and specials right now with their essential services with electric bill, keeping it one steady bill throughout the entire month. Give them a call, 561-281-6099. So we are coming back to you in the home stretch of the college football season and right in the heart of football season, which is really, really great. You know, we're going to miss it when it's gone. I know it's an arduous trip. It's like the Baton Death March, but we are making it and we are going through. College football this weekend had those matchups that we talked about, but we're also looking at the rankings with an eye on them, you know, off to the side. So we're just going to hop into, you know, what we said going into the matchups and, you know, going over the matchups of this coming week. First matchup we talked about last week that we kind of need to review is, well, let's go to your Canes and Georgia Tech. Let you gloat a little bit.
I'm not gonna gloat. Georgia Tech, they're down the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Was what it was. You go in there and you go do what you got to do. You know, it's been a tumultuous year for Miami, to say the least. But you try to get any kind of momentum going in to next season. That's really what you're looking forward to is next season. This year is a wash. You know, you fight for bowl eligibility, and you got two tough games to get that done. So this win was critical just for you to even have the chance. Because now your chances are a lot better now going into you winning this game, and now you got Clemson and Pitt. And it sucks because Ja'Carri Brown had a good game last week. He didn't give you gaudy numbers passing the ball through the air, but you did see he gave your offense a complete different look, a complete different identity. Like, Miami couldn't really run the ball this year. And it seemed like with him at the helm, the offensive line looked way different. Even to be missing 6 of them, they looked the way they haven't looked all year. So maybe the fact that he can actually move and run adds another element to the offense that the defenses have to game plan against, so you looked a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned it to my brother. I said, well, he's going to have another offseason, and you can see what he adds to the offense. What do you do with Tyler Van Dyke? I said, if you're going to keep Gaddis, this is your quarterback. Why? Because look at how you look running the ball. With Tyler Van Dyke being as mobile as he is, which is not very mobile, they're stacking the box and they're stuffing the run. But with him, he adds you another dynamic. So if you're going to stick with Gaddis, in my mind, no questions asked, is Van Dyke a better passer?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to keep this guy next year, this has to be the guy. And it sucks that this next game will be Clemson, and that's like a measuring stick game because who has Miami had a quarterback that done good against Clemson to even give him a fair assessment to how he's going to fare against Clemson? So, I mean, the highlight of the game for me that I would love to see more going forward was Cam Kinchins. 3 interceptions, 1 99-yard pick six. That's the leader of the secondary right in there. Like, you love James Williams, but Cam Kinchins is that guy. He's slinging like he got a knack for the ball. Maybe as a film junkie because he leads the nation in picks after his 3rd one. So, love to see Cam Kinchins. They actually started a lot of freshmen. Wasn't the same guy to start. Jaleel Skinner finally got his first touchdown. Obviously, Ja'Carri got the start. So, it seems like Cristobal is now going to his guys. So all the guys that was there before, they're starting to take the back seat and maybe find their way out. There's a lot of talk about who's going to transfer portal. Jay Garcia may go into it, Keyshawn Smith, what have you. And it might be that Mel Tucker move for Miami next year. It might be really gutting 30-40% of your roster, bringing guys in just for the sake of this next season, with a couple of your recruiting class to try to get some success. If that happens, that happens. At this point, you got to get that bad culture, that bad like vibe out of there, because you got parents and on Twitter going crazy at the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to really get into it, but your kid is 145, just coming off an ACL injury, and you're clamoring for him to play first year. You just want your son to play, but maybe they think about health and him not being weight-wise ready yet for this game. He got to get bigger. But you have parents that's very vocal on Twitter. So a lot of that stuff got to get out the program if this program wants to succeed, because I'm not in Alabama's Twitter sphere or Georgia's Twitter sphere, but I don't hear or see no parents and position coaches are saving for their kids not playing. So there's a lot of stuff they got to get out of mind. But only bright spot, like I said, would be Jakari had a good start. Roos actually looked great running the ball after all the fumbles, but Cam Kitchens and Jakari was a bright spot. But at the end of the day, I don't have anything to look forward to this season. Like, they're just trying to get bowl eligible.
Well, I hear where you're going with that conversation. There's nothing more to say about that game. You said all that needs to be said. I give you credit on both sides of the argument. I mean, you literally argued both sides. It was a fair assessment of it. Moving on to the other Big Three action, UF played South Carolina. We thought South Carolina would put up a better fight. They did not. Spencer Rattler, for all intents and purposes, I don't know where he goes from here, but if he stays at South Carolina another year, it's more of a continuity play. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's the best thing for that offense type of play. And then on top of that, too, University of Florida was allowed to do do the one thing that they can kind of do, which is be big and run against you. And South Carolina let that happen. They still didn't pass for over 200 yards in that game. The quarterback had over 100. Two running backs had over 100. Another back had over 60. And that's all she wrote. That game was never close. Didn't even pinch him. UF becomes bowl eligible with that win. It was looking kind of rocky for them as well. But that's pretty much all she wrote there. UF has Vandy this coming week. We didn't talk about who Miami has this coming week because you don't want to.
No, we can talk about it, bro. Listen,
go ahead.
It is what it is. It's Clemson, bro. Like, as a program, this team is still not ready for that kind of smoke yet. We just gonna be honest. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go out there and do something miraculous, even if this would be where I say Miami will succeed. If you put up 17 plus on them, I would say you did a good job based off of what your coordinator has been doing the last couple weeks when they put on the field. If you score 17 plus against Clemson, I say you did good, because I'm not going in expecting to win. I'm not. But if they do, well, I'm going crazy on the following week episode, so I'm going crazy.
All right, this is where the state of the U is. 17 points versus Miami.
Versus Clemson.
I'm sorry, versus Clemson.
We got to be honest. You want me to say if I lied?
I'm not telling you to lie. It's just, that would be combined what you did in the last two matchups, I guess. I don't have no problems here in the ACC Atlantic. We score against Clemson a lot. It's just we haven't been able to close the door on Clemson. Miami versus Clemson. At Clemson.
3:30 ESPN. No more Valley.
Yay, they're not on the Valley Total Fitness Network.
But y'all are.
Who are we playing?
It don't matter.
We're playing Louisiana, the old Billy Napier team.
Raising Cajuns.
Yeah. We booked that game thinking we were going to play Billy Napier for that game about 3-4 years ago. And now we get basically Billy Napier Jr., the head coach, is basically the former assistant to Billy Napier. So we'll get to see a good look at what Billy Napier is this week and then face him again against UF in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We got a noon game there.
What's the noon kickoff against Florida?
Noon.
Well, I know for Louisiana.
Yeah. For Florida, no, it's prime time. We box office boys, baby. 7:30.
Okay, well we ate. So you feel me? Yeah. We gonna be in the thing, so I'm not really watching your game. You're not really watching mine.
No, well,
I'm gonna be there.
He's
going to the pit game.
Yeah, he's going to the pit.
That's gonna be the game for boy eligibility. I gotta be there.
Oh gosh. Either way, Florida State does play University of Louisiana this week. Mm-hmm. This prior week we played Syracuse, and like I anticipated, we blew them out. I said 38-3. I'm sorry. I said 41-10. It ended up being 38-3. That game, we had garbage time at 3 minutes 4 minutes left in the third quarter. When we put in the backups, that was the score. It ended up being the final score. Rush for 200, pass for 200. Defense had 10 3-and-outs. What else is there to say? Look, Syracuse started the season off hot, 6-0.
Yeah,
And then they haven't won a game since, and we were the last beating heartbeat or whatever they were. At least the starters got to play with Schrader and the running back.
But we said it was based off of who they played. Like it's kind of
But they played tough against Clemson until attrition kicked in.
It's kind of like last night. I don't want to really add the NFL into it, but it's Philly just finally ran this one. Did we expect Philly to lose last night?
Yeah.
No, but they haven't really played too much, and you see the difference between Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke, which is crazy.
Yeah, but Taylor Heineke don't make that many mistakes. But somebody said something on Twitter, and it's funny. I'm about to repeat this, but it was funny. It said about that Philly matchup. That was the game that Madden decided that you just.
I saw that. It's like no matter what you do, no matter what coverage you run, blitz and all that, you're gonna take the L.
That wasn't the case with Florida State and Syracuse. We finally turned them over right after halftime, and they tried to do an onside kick on us, and we still got that ball back too. But before that, Florida State literally just marched up and down the field like they wanted to. Their defense, that was highly touted, was ranked actually as high as NC State's defense. We had no problems with. We executed. Even threw in a little bit of a Philly special type of play in there. Jordan Travis had a touchdown catch. Florida State is just healthy right now, and they weren't healthy in that middle three stretch. It was the hardest stretch of their season with Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. That's just how the cookie crumbles. It is what it is.
Yeah, speaking of health, it doesn't really matter much, but they say Don Chain was full speed this week in practice.
It might help you out. It might help you out for Clemson.
I just want to see how he looks because I feel like that's the element that's been missing. Well, the backs have been healthy all year anyway.
Yeah.
Not health team, but that's another bright spot. But we didn't really talk about Florida and Vandy matchup because we kind of transitioned into matchup.
Well, Florida and Vandy, like I said,
Is it a trap game?
Florida and Vandy a trap?
They just beat Kentucky. They might be riding high right now.
That would be the first time that Vandy has won back-to-back SEC games since 2016. I think, or 2017. So yeah, hey, trap game.
It's Florida we talking about now. Come on, now. Let's be real.
I'm being real. If Vandy can stop them from running and turn
Rich into a passer,
then yeah, they got a shot.
Okay.
It's hard to really turn him into a runner because their offensive line is, at least in the run game, is as good as Florida State's. And I'm not saying that to say, Florida State is all that. No, Florida State has a top 5 offensive line when it comes to running the ball. That was last year, let alone this year. Their offensive line, when they're running the ball, they can truly run the ball. And they have a left guard that is going to be drafted. He's probably going in the first round. And that's the one that he brought over from Louisiana. So he weakened that roster and then brought this elite left guard there. And lo and behold, Florida State now has their left guard who lost his spot on campus this day to see if he wants to come and play at Florida State. He's in the portal. We're in portal season right now, people.
That's crazy.
So our mind is kind of preoccupied, and it's hard to put that into context on a podcast.
I mean, there's some teams that's very much fighting the claw more than others. Like we was speaking on earlier, Florida is trying to blaze the trail hot. They got to flip the Rashada. And then they're really trying to weaken Miami in the sense because I think Miami got 2 of their guys, and so they're trying to get. I don't even know. Kinsler and Cormier from them. So
but I don't even think that they're trying to weaken them. I just think y'all were in those recruiting battles. Florida State was in recruiting battles, but it was not just with Miami and Florida. We're still in a recruiting battle with Auburn for our best defensive lineman prospect, Keldrick Faulk. Auburn has a lot of good energy around them because Cardell Williams, and they just opened up their newest facility. This is their second athletic facility. They just opened up this past week. So the SEC, all they could talk about, John James lost again. He's not going to make a bowl game, people. It's actually no way in God's green earth that John James and A&M can make a bowl game. They are officially 3-7. 7 losses means you cannot make a bowl game.
I think Miami's biggest battle is Samuel Pemba, and that's what Georgia and Tennessee is a battle. And I forget the last school in the top 4. Was that Ruben Bain? So
Yeah.
he looked waiting for early signing day.
Bama's in Bama's thing,
Yeah.
or Penn State, one or two. But yeah, and then you got that Samson kid who's between you and UF and
I think Michigan.
Michigan and yeah. So it's
He's saying big news coming soon. I didn't see the news, so I don't know if I missed it or what's coming. But
yeah, recruiting's a great topic to talk about. It's just when you got so many goddamn good matchups in the heart of football season, it's hard to get at it.
Yeah,
and we're heading into championship week. ACC title game is already set. That's going to be UNC after a victory over Wake Forest. We touched on that a little bit last week.
Okay.
Wake Forest, they threw an interception, so they lose the game. That's basically Wake Forest's MO. If they don't throw an interception, they don't lose. Drake May played phenomenal, but that UNC defense, like I told you in our phone conversation, and even I think in the air a little bit, UNC's defense is terrible. They let 35 points get on the board, and 38 is what won it. And then Clemson ended up beating Louisville. Shockingly, that game was never in doubt.
It wasn't shocking. Speaking of Louisville,
Because they up and down. Like, they the most up and down team in the ACC. They play perfect and then they don't.
we don't cover this, but I'm gonna say it since we in Louisville. Any ACC fans out there that like Louisville, y'all basketball team making ACC look bad, and I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. Y'all lost to Wright State, and I forgot the other school by a point.
Look.
And they got game on a step back jumper. Y'all making us look bad. Tighten up. I'm about to Appalachian State to cover 5.5 of them today.
See, that's why you need to, I told you, basketball gambling is a degenerate sport. You are officially a degenerate if you're looking at college basketball. Look, man, I can't even talk college basketball right now. Florida State is 0-3. We done lost to Troy, UCF, and Stetson.
That's all shocking.
But
Y'all made us look bad
no,
too.
it's not shocking to me because one, NCAA with that stupid Baba Miller ruling, number one, and number two, I will sacrifice all Florida State football athletics
For Florida State to win the championship?
for Florida State period to be Florida State football, which is basically being in a
I
championship
sacrifice
conversation.
everything in Miami except for baseball.
I
We
would
gotta
sac-
keep the baseball.
I'll sacrifice baseball too, and we're good at baseball.
I gotta
I'll
keep the
sacrifice our national title, two-time national title winning softball team. I'll sacrifice our three-time soccer team.
Soccer, lacrosse, tennis, everything gotta go except for
Man,
track. Track and baseball, I can't give up.
Nah, man.
Okay.
Title IX don't mean nothing to me when it comes to football. Just like you know that right now. Sorry, ladies. Look, look. It is what it
It's
is.
terrible.
But now that was basically the victory in Florida. Now nationally, Bama and Ole Miss. That game was tight because Lane don't care.
What Bama got going on ever?
Bama was missing a couple players. Gibbs was out, and they were also missing who else? Ricks. Ricks was out as well. The corner. Those are pressure points on the Nick Saban team. They are built in the trenches. Don't get it twisted. Offensive line, defensive line. That's where they're built. And then they move to quarterback, running back, and then corner. Like if you're a corner at Alabama, that is a pressure point of their defense.
That's Saban.
And that's just that's Saban's baby. Them DB rooms is his baby. Now when Kirby was there, he was a little bit more hands off because Kirby learned under him for so many years. But at the end of the day, even you see it at Georgia. Georgia's DB room is Kirby's baby. So to see them actually, I think yesterday they had, last night they had a decommit on defense, which is probably
at Georgia.
yeah,
2024 class.
yeah.
Or
So he
23 class, something like that.
yeah, he's going to go to Penn State. It's Screaming Joy Porter a part of that conversation. But even still, like those are their babies. And for them to give up, 30-something points to Ole Miss? So that's a lot of points. I think, that this is Bama's year to have a down year. Up the middle, they're not really great.
No.
And Ole Miss likes to run the bleeping ball. And I said that in the beginning of the year when I was picking my national champion, which is still Georgia, that they were just a little soft up the middle, and that's what you're seeing. The next matchup we kind of talked about a little bit was, Oregon and Washington?
No, we ain't really talking about them, but we can definitely touch into it. Like we was kind of talking about rankings.
Yeah.
And you said you wanted to see what they do in the big dance. And
Yeah.
On cue.
On cue.
Oregon got popped.
Oregon gets popped versus Washington, who already has 2 losses. And this week, it's UCLA and USC play, or is that next week?
UCLA and USC play this week, and it's Oregon versus Utah this week. So
Yeah, the
couple big
Pac-12.
matchups in the Pac-12.
So, yeah, the Pac-12, you got big matchups, but if USC gets popped,
It's over
the
with.
Pac-12 is
It's
what
over.
we think it is every year for the most part.
If the Pac-12 get popped, does that open a door for a 2-loss team?
No, to open the door for the 1-loss team, which is Tennessee. Because Tennessee
got-
is the one-loss team of all one-loss teams.
Well, see, I guess we can transition down to the rankings.
Yeah, we can go
Because
into the
we have-
rankings.
Right now, it's 1 is Bama,
Uh-huh.
2 is Ohio State,
Uh-huh.
3 is Michigan, 4 is TCU. 2 and 3 got to play each other. So one of them is going to
Oh
get
no,
five.
that's the qualifier because they don't play. They play on the same side of the conference, and I believe their conference matchup is already lined up as well. Ohio State, I think, is playing. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I think the Big Ten is already set as far as their conference title matchup. Illinois. So the long and short of it, Michigan's playing Illinois this week. So if they lay it on Illinois, they have to finish the job and knock off Ohio State.
Just to get that chance. But even still, it's going to be tough being that they don't play that championship game.
Yeah, because it will only be, and then it will be Michigan or Illinois again in the championship game. What I'm getting at is that Ohio State has far more to lose than Michigan, but I think Michigan's lost to Ohio State that close to the playoff, and you're not in the championship game, eliminates
You
them.
don't. That's where I'm kind
And
of.
their strength of schedule is utter trash.
Because if you go to it, right, you got Georgia, that's a lock. This is the
Yeah, Georgia's a lock. Win or lose in this in the SEC title game, I think they're a lock.
What if, like, we got to play devil's advocate because it's shaking on that way. You got TCU still has Baylor and Iowa State, and Baylor just got demolished by Kansas State, but TCU still have those two matchups to where they have to handle business because if they don't handle business, then it's like, what in the world is going to happen? Because we have not had a year like this yet. Because Tennessee is that one-loss team that's right outside that 5. If TCU lose, somebody out of Michigan or Ohio State got to lose. So we talk about now 2 teams. So it'll probably jump Tennessee. But then you got USC, LSU. Well, LSU, USC, Bama, Clemson.
LSU
Utah.
has the clearest path to getting into the the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
By far. They have an opportunity to play it on John James, which is a natural story still, even though they're not a good team. They play them at the end of the year, number 1. Number 2, they've already handled Arkansas, who plays dirty like them. Then they got to play Georgia. That Georgia game, if they beat Georgia, they're rooting for TCU to lose. Because if TCU loses, this would be the only year where it would kind of be acceptable. No, it still wouldn't be acceptable because then you have a one-loss ACC team. No matter what, you're
That's
gonna
what
have.
I'm saying. That's why it's crazy this year because so much can happen. Like I say,
Everybody's rooting for TCU to lose. So.
Yeah, because that's that.
TCU's
TCU
the
win. That's the lock. So Georgia and TCU is a lock. Ohio State, whoever wins out that matchup, Ohio State, Michigan will be the lock.
And I know we're dismissing the Pac-12, but we're dismissing them from this reason and this reason alone.
Because USC definitely can get popped.
USC can get popped by UCLA, Notre Dame, and whoever's in the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah,
TCU would have to stumble like nobody's business to lose to.
Rumbling, bumping,
Stumbling to lose these next 3 games. And yes, they play in a Big 12 title game, but it's against the second seed in that conference. I don't see them losing twice to one of those people.
You can't lose once. You lose once.
They can't afford to lose
timing-
once, but they're putting the ACC back in the mix.
The timing wise is going to be tough because I mean UNC is way on the outside, right?
UNC is way on the outside with Clemson. Both of them are way on the outside, but they have a pathway back in.
It's because it's like if you get to that point, do you get an automatic bid? Do they? My question is,
The ACC does deserve it though.
that's what I'm saying.
Look at the
With one
strength of the
loss,
conference.
That's what I'm saying. With one loss, do they? No matter where they end up, if they end up at 10, 11, 12,
I think they get
an automatic bid.
I think they get launched up because think about it like this. Currently, right now, the ACC has 9 bowl eligible teams with 3 weeks of football left. That is this week, next week, and championship week.
Okay.
No other conference has more than 7.
Yeah.
They already have proven that as far as the depth of the league, you're going to have more teams that have more bowl eligibility. And you still have an outside chance of one other team. There could be 10 of the 16 teams in the ACC making a bowl.
Yeah, because they only got Virginia Tech, and Boston College that cannot be bowl eligible.
Because they already got the 7.
Georgia Tech still has a chance.
Which they probably would have had it last week. But who do they play this week? Who does Georgia Tech play? I know they play Georgia at the end of the season, so that's not happening.
Yeah, definitely not. They're not getting that.
So who did Georgia Tech play this
Oh,
week?
they got UNC this week.
Oh, Georgia Tech's not making it. Oh,
Okay,
man.
so scratch that. Now we got 9 teams.
We
So
got 9.
Miami has a chance. They got
Miami
one
has
last
Clemson and Pitt.
team. It's a slim chance, but they have it.
Traditionally, Miami beats Pitt. I give you that. But that was one of the losses I had on the season for Miami. And I'm not stepping off that podium because Pitt hasn't given me a reason to step off that podium.
Yeah, man.
The ACC Atlantic is look at back at that. I think
What did I do? I'm going
Jumping
through.
you jumping all around. Like jump around.
My
Jump
finger's
around.
too big.
Finger's too big.
I'm pressing everything but what I need to press.
The ACC Atlantic has 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bro, everybody but
5.
Boston College, bro. Just say everybody but Boston
Everybody
College.
but Boston College. Wake Forest is the second to last team in the ACC Atlantic.
With a 6-4 record, 2-4 in the conference.
Yeah, like that is what you're dealing with just the division that I was talking about. Like when I was saying that in the beginning of the year, like the SEC West is really, really tough, but the ACC Atlantic is right behind it. I meant it.
But you know what's crazy? It's like, you know, this conference in a couple of years can make that jump to, I guess, say they can compete with SEC and the Big 12 as a whole, as a unit, because if North Carolina stays on the trajectory that they are on, they have a good year. Duke surprises. Can Duke keep this up and sustain this in the future?
Well, they have the infrastructure to build on if they want to, if they care. UNC cares. Everybody knows that in the Carolinas, North or South Carolina, the big boy institution in the Carolinas is UNC. Duke has to care. They have the alumni base, but do they have the I care type of attitude?
So if they do that, we already know what Pitt can be.
Yeah, we do know what Pitt can be. That's all they
Hopefully,
care about.
my boys get on their train soon. We
Look,
talking about
you've had the investment. You just have to have the return on the investment. I don't know. If
we talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
9 teams. 10 teams.
That can, like, all year in, year out, be bowl eligible and can be good.
Yeah.
And hey, that's just, hey, man.
Look,
I would love to see it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would love to see it.
Because if you go look at the SEC, go look at the SEC real quick. Because I just don't want you guys to think that we're just dismissing the SEC or having bad SEC talk. Because I love the SEC. It's great football.
So with the goals of bowl eligibility, right?
So the SEC East has Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky's bowl eligible, and Gators are bowl eligible.
And South Carolina's bowl eligible as well.
So they have
Missouri and Vanderbilt. If they win both their last two, they can be bowl eligible. But again, Vanderbilt has Florida this week. I'm not sure what Missouri has, but
that's
what it is.
really tough. Now the SEC West. So you got 5 on one side, and what's the other side?
So you got that was the East we just rattled off.
Yeah.
The West is you got Texas and that it's not bowl eligible. Auburn is 4-6, so they got to play Bama. You know, the War Eagle. So that might be there for them as well. Arkansas is 5-5.
I think Arkansas can make it. So if I don't think Auburn has a chance. They got the Iron Bowl, and I think who did they play this week? It doesn't matter. We'll find out soon. But I think Arkansas makes it. So they're gonna have 10 teams in the playoff.
They got Western Kentucky. So if they pull up some craziness
in the
on the
Iron
strength
Bowl,
of Carnell Cadillac Williams and his post-game speech that he gave.
Iron Bowl is one of them games where put it like this, if Gus Malzahn was coaching it, I give it a 50-50 shot. Because he's not. That's one game he used to show up for. That game has saved his job 3 different times. It got him into the last BCS title game versus Florida State. It got him in New Year's Six Bowl where he ended up losing to UCF. And UCF started claiming that national title.
Oh my God, they haven't been able to be stopped since. They just, oh my God.
Look, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like Gus Malzahn made $70 million off of just winning that Iron Bowl game half the times he was in it.
Jimbo, you about to get bought out from what I sound like. I don't even know how I put you in there, but you finna get bought out, my boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
it might actually happen.
No, it's definitely a lot of craziness going on that side, and it's going to be fun. I think we'll really get more of a sense and a taste of what it's going to be like after this week.
I just don't want the Brian Kelly talk no more in my ear for the ever and ever. If anybody ever comes to me and tells me that John James is a better coach than Brian Kelly, I'm sorry to tell you, I get that he won the title at Florida State.
It's off that.
And this is not me being a spurned Florida State fan. This is me looking at what John James did in the SEC West for the last 4 years. Did he not have 4 losses every year?
Don't touch me.
Did he have 4 losses every year?
Get your hands off
Did he have 4 losses?
Unloose me, Satan.
Did he have them 4 losses?
No, I'm with you. No, I mess with you.
Yeah, but I'm just being real. Like, sitting here, his track record, the only year that he had a good year was COVID.
With Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's the only that's the COVID year. He had 2 losses there. Brian Kelly walked into a situation where everybody quit
And turned it around.
And his worst loss was, or his losses involved his team having multiple muff punts in the game.
I almost thought you cursed, but you went muff punch.
Yeah.
Like you about to say most of them efforts.
Oh God, no, God, no. We a children's show. I got one off last game.
Oh man.
But no, what I'm getting at is that he came over to the SEC West and won it. He beat Saban. He beat Lane. He beat all these people in this conference. He has John James at the end of the season. He's beat Auburn. What else you got for him? They said he couldn't come to the SEC, and his family, standing behind the players and all this other stuff. I get it. He's corny, but that corny clown can coach some football, and he can weed out some culture.
Yeah, he shows you because Notre
And
Dame,
that game
Notre
last
Dame
week
isn't off that bad this year, but you
see it.
the
You
difference.
see the difference. He was 10 wins all the time at Notre Dame,
it.
and you see in a
That's
tough game.
academics.
Yeah, and you see it with a tough game with Arkansas. They should have probably lost that game. He found a way to win.
Them boys bought in. Them boys. That's that culture.
That's that culture. Good job for that side of the world. But like I said, SEC has a chance to have 10 teams, but they only have 8 eligible right now. ACC has 9 eligible, and they could have 10, but it's an uphill battle to get to that point for both sides of it. But even still, that Atlantic side of the ACC, everybody but BC.
Year in, year out, they tough. Year in, year out. I get that tough. Year in, year out. We argue a lot, but they tough. So, like I said, next week I think we'll get more in-depth and deep dive.
And when bowl season comes, we're going to get to pick out some great games and stuff like that.
We got so much time in between. So much time.
Between that, you'll get some recruiting talk, some who's in the portal talk. You get all of that, even how they fit.
Coaching changes,
that
happens.
That carousel.
That's different.
You don't get to pick.
The transitioning to our NFL slate. We had a solid week on the parlay. Like we lost one matchup that we gave you. We give you the 4 and then we disagree on one, and we lost, and it surprised us. Nobody. I'm gonna speak for everybody.
No.
I'm gonna speak for everybody.
Cowboys. What are y'all doing?
Listen, where's Mike? I need to find a Mike Irvin skit somewhere about that game, because I'm pretty sure he went off at some point in time on national television about this game.
They had this.
Well,
they had it.
With times that it looked like it was going to be bad early, is those 2 early interceptions by Dak, trying to drive the ball down the field. Like, Rudy Ford, shout out to you, my boy, because you had one heck of a game. You doubled your interception total for your career and everything, but one of them was Dak. One of them, I think, CeeDee Lamb ran the route too flat and too shallow. But
they had this game even still.
We really counting out Aaron Rodgers. That's a disrespect. That's how bad
it's not
been.
No,
how bad the year been.
It's not even that bad he's been this year. It's that they're not that type of team that are dependent on him. The fact that Dallas's defense did not load the box, and I get the respect you give Aaron Rodgers by having 2 high looks or looking like you're gonna have a cover 3 matchup and then you jump to 2 high, whatever the case may be. I get the respect, but the Packers stuck to the run, and you let Aaron Jones have a field day. I get Christian.
Beast mode.
Yeah, I get Christian Watson getting 3 touchdown catches. The boy ain't caught one all year. He ain't caught a cold all year.
Let alone
I get it. He's one of my good draft picks. I'll show the tweets. I will prove to you guys I put him as one of my good draft picks. I'm not knocking him, but he ain't caught a cold all year. You'll take that not to give up 250 plus yards.
What made it worse, Romeo Dobbs was out.
Yo!
So like, you taking away the
load the box.
They don't really have receivers as is. And you taking away from it with Romeo Dobbs being out.
I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Rodgers, but until those receivers show me they're going to catch 5 touchdowns in a game, I'll let the 3 go, because I know as Dallas I can score 28. And like Dallas's offense, even with Dak's books, and yeah, they hurt. Don't get into it.
You're saying books now.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You got me.
I got him. This is my boy.
The youngster then got me to say hip stuff. But even still with those, They were up so far. They went running away in high territory. And these clowns.
He's upset.
I'm upset with it because it was
stuff.
I don't like stupid football. I don't. And you're NFL coaches and players. In that fourth down trying to go for it, you have Dak not using his legs and then flinging the ball up. Like, it's just, it was a calamity of error.
Save the energy. Because on this parlay, we had a way better matchup that I'm like, bro, shout out to us for picking that because it was crazy. And we're going to say that one for last. Usually we say the one we disagree for last, but we're going to say that for last just to talk about it just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So Tennessee covered the 3 against Denver, which we expected.
Yeah.
I know we early,
oh, my
but
God, that was a
that happened.
game. God dang.
The Chargers covered the 7 against the 49ers, which is surprising that they gave them 7.
I was surprised they gave them 7, but both those teams are going in totally different directions. 49ers are getting healthy. The Chargers are still so unhealthy. And just because we know players on those two teams, don't make them great teams. But they could turn, this is where your season as the 49ers, as the Bucks, both those teams, this is what you can get around that corner. The Chargers are going in the wrong direction. And you're seeing what Justin Herbert looks like without weapons. He looks like Tua without weapons. I'm not saying Justin Herbert is trash, but I never said that Tua was either like y'all on TV.
And Tua's going crazy, man.
You gave Tua Justin Herbert type weapons.
He's going crazy.
And he's going
I
crazy.
think that's any quarterback, though. There's only a select few that can make you look great, that can look great without a bevy of weapons. But they're looking great with
But you
them.
still got to scheme that. Even with Brady, when he didn't have a bevy of weapons, let's just say all he had was Gronk, and you didn't really know the receivers. Josh McDaniels is a really good offensive coordinator. As a head coach, bruh,
You
ain't it. I saw a fake Twitter story that you got fired, and I believed it because your coaching has been that bad. You're taking a playoff team from last year. Granted, if the ball doesn't bounce their way all the time last year, but they're still a 500 team if the ball don't bounce their way all last year. You're taking a 500 team, and they got how many wins? 1, 2, two wins.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The man has like 6 wins in his NFL career. It's crazy.
That's terrible.
Oh
man. So next, we disagreed on Tampa and Seattle. We really didn't disagree.
Here's what I found.
Yeah, find it.
Yeah.
We didn't really disagree. I just wasn't going against my boys, so he had to go the other way. And Tampa came out and got the dub. Like I said, Brady 2-0 since Giselle.
She
Twitter,
dated somebody.
That's quick.
Yo,
Brady, you did right. Y'all had to do right because boy, she done moved on quick. Boy, she said, "You want to get football? Bet I've been moved on for a while now." But it is what it is. I know Tampa Bay 25 years of my life. I ain't know her, so you do what you do, player. Take care of me. Don't take care of her.
Well, I've known Giselle my whole life. I just want you to know Giselle is the supermodel, number 1. But number 2, Tom Brady's ex-wife, I don't know if you know this. You ever saw the John Wick first movie?
No, I actually said I want to watch him just so I can watch the fourth one.
Did you see iRobot?
Yes.
The girl in iRobot is Tom Brady's first wife.
Okay.
His oldest son's mom. But long and short, look, turnabout's fair play. Tom left her for Giselle. Supermodel, Victoria's Secret. Fellas, y'all out there over 30, you know what Giselle is. And now she got some dude now very quickly after divorce in Costa Rica of all places. Everybody finds stuff in Costa Rica. But nah, Tom Brady's 2-0. Seattle tried though. They tried to come back.
Yeah, man. Like I said, look, man. Shout out to Seattle though. Like I said, I like where they're going. Like Geno definitely is. It's a successful year, regardless of where they finish up at, and they look good. Like they're scheming up a way for them to be healthy. It's just Tampa Bay has always been notoriously good at stopping the run, and at times this season it hasn't been great. Obviously, you've seen Baltimore run up and down the field on the second half, but they seem like they got back to a team that was stuffing the run and playing with heavy hearts. Devin White got news his dad passed before the game. So normally it's tough, but a lot of players always have those great games and transcendent games after hearing something like that because that's what their family will want them to do and go out and play type stuff. But Julio joined the party.
Yeah, he got a touchdown.
Sadly, he got the longest touchdown of the year for Temple at 31 yards.
In the longest way across the planet that the game has been played.
Come on, so Julio took a drag route and took it the distance. I would love to see Julio stay
Maybe
healthy.
he did that Kobe thing where he got the blood spinning in Germany because you know.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because you know he looked like he was rejuvenated.
Yeah, look, Tampa is starting to get healthy again, and you got a bye week at the right time. Late bye weeks are always great for the body, for the players. So we'll see what they do coming out. They still have a tough stretch coming out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say tough. It's not tough record wise, but it's tough based on what they put on the field. I'm an honest fan. Anyway, anyhow, they won. But I wanted to get into this game because we may go a little bit about this game being how amazing that it was. We picked Minnesota to cover the 6 against Buffalo, and it lived up to the billing. And I'm going to go out and say now that this was the game of the year.
I'm gonna give you that.
I don't know what we're going to see going forward, but I don't think as much that's going to top that. This was the game of the year. Minnesota went down 14. And they come back a lot, but it wasn't looking that way until your boy, Dalvin Cook, first down, touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like,
Miami fans know about him turning that corner.
hey, listen, I don't not even talk about my man at this point. I'm sitting there like, in the
It looked like it on the second.
like,
Once he
I
gets
haven't
around
seen
the
Dalvin
edge,
move like that this season.
I get it.
So I'm like, we talking about how Kirk got these receivers looking.
Yeah.
And they one loss still. Respect them. They got that one loss because they talk about Kirk Cousins and the time he plays. Respect him, and he did it at a 1 o'clock game. Respect him. So
Yo, that boy at 1 o'clock is special.
respect him. And they went down. Dalvin got that touchdown.
Yeah.
And then defense teed up. Just like I thought Diggs had a catch of the year.
Oh my
Well,
god.
I told you earlier, Jefferson said, hold my beer. I don't know how he did it. I wanted to call him, but my job didn't have no service, so I couldn't get to him. So I had to take it what it was. But I'm like, oh my God, that's catch of the year.
Yeah.
And he almost had a touchdown. They called it back. It was short.
Oh my god.
Then Dalvin Cook, he drops the pass on the goal line.
Bro,
It made it so much harder.
look, that game, the last, I want to say, 10 minutes of it.
God, riveting.
If you're a fan of Minnesota and Buffalo, I don't know how y'all still alive, not a
That's
cardiac arrest.
like cardiac bills, cardiac bites.
But just a fan of football, my blood pressure was up. And I'm sitting there like, that. When they get into the red zone after that catch by Jefferson, you're automatically assuming the Bills are going to lose. It's a touchdown. That QB sneak was the worst QB sneak I've ever seen
In my life. In my life. And I'm young. I'm young. I don't have a lot of football behind me, but I got a lot ahead of me. That's tough.
Yo, look, I've gotten too spoiled with the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, and those guys knowing how to run a QB sneak. To see that,
You want to call that a butt QB sneak?
bro,
Because it
it's.
seemed like the
And
line behind part.
But even still, the running back couldn't even push him in. It was such a low. I haven't seen one that bad in a very long time. If I've seen one worse, somebody got to throw it in the show notes. If you got a video worse than that for a QB sneak.
got stepped on twice yesterday. It
Oh my-
was tough in the line yesterday.
The only thing worse about that QB sneak was the following play with the QB sneak in the end zone by Josh Allen when he couldn't find the ball. And then it comes a touchdown. That went from literally.
That sneak was terrible.
That sneak was terrible on one
fumble
side.
to a touchdown.
And Josh Allen fumbles the QB sneak coming out of the end zone. I didn't even expect them to get. Yeah, it was a minute left. I didn't expect them to get in field goal range. I was crushed for them.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. It's great. Like, I'm still trying to fathom that. Because it's like, that's supposed to be deflating.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be the game.
Yeah, and the Vikings didn't quit, and then they should have quit, and they didn't quit.
Shout out Pat P.
Oh my God.
They said that boy watch. He ain't got it no more. 2 books. Pat P. Arizona Cardinal Pat P. Like, I don't know what Josh Allen saw though. To be honest on that pick, I don't know
He
what he
saw
saw.
ghosts because
I
that
don't know
was.
what he saw.
I saw the all 22 on that play.
Mm-hmm.
He threw it so late to Gabriel that it was no way that in my right mind I would have. If you're playing Madden, you don't throw that ball.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone if you're an NFL player who's supposed to have anticipatory skills, who is playing at an MVP level this year. But the last 3 games, Josh Allen in the red zone has thrown four interceptions. He's
Yeah,
thrown.
and it was like, they said it was like 100-something pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Through.
He's only
Right.
thrown 2 in the red zone prior to this year. That's 60-something games. But the last 4 or last 3, he's thrown 4 interceptions in the red zone. It was a really, really great game. Again, I am a Bears fan, and I'm saying big ups to the Vikings because you proved you're real.
Okay. And so we were so excited today. I'm not gonna lie to you. We didn't discuss a parlay for y'all.
Mm.
So we're gonna kind of come up to this on the fly for y'all. So I'm looking at some stuff. We're gonna go New York Jets, New England. Right?
What's the spread?
New England -3.
Where is it at?
It's in New England. But every time we go against the Jets, before we say we go with the Patriots, every time we go against them, they lose.
But here's the kicker.
They win. I'm sorry. They win every time we go against them. We pick them. They had that one time we picked them. They lost. But every time we go against them, they end up winning and burning
That
us.
one time, though, that we picked them to win, they lost to the Patriots against the spread.
I'm going with them this time. I'm gonna rock with them, bro.
All right, I'm gonna disagree. This is where we disagree. Out the great.
That's out the gate. Okay.
Out the gate. I'm going with the Patriots.
I'm going with the Jets. All right, we're gonna lock that in. That's crazy.
Go ahead.
All right. So now next thing I saw, Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas is -1. I'm rocking with Minnesota based off.
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing. They can run the ball, and they believe in running the ball. You saw it. That Dalvin Cook touchdown was 1st and 10. Like, don't get it twisted. They believe in running it.
Buffalo and Cleveland. Buffalo is at home, -8.5 against Cleveland team that just got smacked by Miami. I'm laying the points.
Well, here's the thing. I would lay the points here because I think that Cleveland's distracted by Deshaun Watson finally being let back in the building. And he gets to go play the Texans next week. I think it's hard to believe that you can look ahead past Buffalo. But in this scenario, I think the Browns are going to look ahead because they feel like they're getting a quarterback back. And that's a big thing for them. I don't see the Browns doing anything this season. Don't get it twisted. But I do see this being a protracted preseason for Deshaun Watson,
Right.
who hasn't played in literally 3 years.
Okay.
So I'm going with Buffalo now.
All right. Washington and Houston. Washington is in Houston -3. Based off of what they just did last night against Philly.
It's not even based off of that. I don't think Davis Mills, he has flashes of where you might not draft a quarterback, but they have the lowest third down percentage in the league.
You got to drop a quarterback.
I look at third down percentage when I'm going to go gamble, and before this week, I think they had 28% on third down passes.
Drop one of these.
Yeah, like for real. I'm going with Washington.
-3 Washington. That's
Washington
good.
Commanders.
All right, cool. And so, lastly, what we have on the slate that I felt like we can go with based off a small spread, the Giants versus the Lions. They got the Giants -3. I'm just rocking with the Giants to get the dub.
I need the Giants to get the dub too. Yeah, man. The Lions, they did their job. They beat my Bears. Thankfully, thank you.
I didn't expect that. They had a good lead at half, and they just melted away.
Look, Justin Fields, they have taken the reins off of him and said, hey, go do you, and we'll fix the bad things.
That man is going crazy.
But his confidence, I didn't want them to break my quarterback.
They're going through the roof.
His confidence is there. He is there. When they finally get on offensive lineman or a set of offensive linemen that can help him, when they finally get more weapons, I like how they're coaching him now, which is saying, go do you, and it's within the confines of the game. Maybe he'll learn to manage the game better and get more wins next season or towards the end of this season. But for right now, thank you for taking that L. Because we still need draft position. I'm looking at it.
So cool. So what we got for y'all on this week's slate, we got Giants, money line against Detroit.
We agree.
We got Washington to cover the 3 against Houston.
We agree.
We got Minnesota as the dogs against Dallas.
We agree.
And then we got Buffalo, -8.5 against Cleveland.
We agree.
And then he's taking New England.
Yeah, I'm taking New England.
I'm taking the Jets.
Look, I already said what I said. Look, we getting into Bill Belichick part of the season.
Okay.
And in November, December, he's pretty doggone good.
This is my segment of the show. I think I lost, once so far? So this is mine. I'm trying to keep my good season going. So, to go back over my other favorite segment is my skewed picks of the week for you, boy. You had a solid week. 3-2.
Over 500 again. 4-1, 3-2. After
So,
that rough week 3 weeks ago.
Will Bama cover the 12? He said no. Correct.
Yeah, man. Lane is ridiculous.
I asked him, will Kansas State win by 10? He retracted and said yes. Good thing he retracted. He's. I'm gonna go that one last. He said, will Florida cover the 8? He said no. Was wrong. They steamrolled South Carolina.
Look, again, South Carolina.
And then he said Bowling Green over Kent State. Kent State demolished Bowling Green.
Hey, look, man, you had to pick somebody.
And then, lastly, will Texas A&M beat Auburn? Your man said it here first. He said no.
One. Thank you, John James.
So much so they had Cardinal Cadillac Williams had like a 5-minute post-game interview.
But see, this is the thing. How do you sell? We're going to talk about that just a second. We're going to segue off of that just a little bit before we get into the picks this week.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC Network had that game as their late game. What else are they supposed to sell?
I don't know.
Because you got to talk about Cadillac if they win that game. You got to prolong it if they win that game. You got to talk about their new facilities. Because you had Auburn and Texas A&M, two teams. One can't afford to fire their coach supposedly, but I've heard different. And the other one just fired their coach 2 weeks ago. And Cadillac got his first win. It's kind of like with the ACC network with those late games. They're going to have prolonged pressers. Like Florida State, after beating Syracuse, had not only George Travis on there, they had Jared Verse on there, and then they had Mike Norvell on there for long segments. So ESPN owning those two properties to hype them up like that, that's what they got to do. I would if I were them. I'm trying to make money. So, tag light don't pay all the bills.
So this week picks, we're going to have you pick between SMU and Tulane.
Ooh. Am I going against the spread or I'm just picking?
You just picking.
Oh, go team, Tulane.
Okay.
They just took a hard loss to UCF. I told y'all Tulane wasn't good. They good enough to beat SMU though. But I ain't knocking Red Lashley. I know they can put up a lot of points, but Tulane, they're a better team this year.
I'm normally acting funny after.
Okay.
Cool. There we go. All right. So you're going Tulane.
I'm going Tulane.
Say less. Then you got, based on how Baylor did, will TCU beat Baylor by more than 12?
Baylor was scoring the first half, yeah. Because TCU's a second half team, so I'm going to just say yes.
I'm about to say, because I need a straight answer.
Yeah, TCU second half team, that Texas game, when Texas was like real close in the first half, I'm like, you have to take TCU out in the first half because TCU in the second half is a really good team. They shut people down.
Will Vanderbilt cover the 14 against Florida?
Gosh, it's really hard to beat teams by 14 points when you're just running the ball. And Vandy just won a game. I'm going to say Vandy has a letdown and they've been celebrating too much over there. Their education
Florida gonna cover?
Yeah, Florida going to cover. Okay. I hope they don't. I really hope Florida lose, but Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, Vandy just won.
Oh, goodness. Will Kansas State cover the 7.5 against West Virginia?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, West Virginia's on some other stuff right now.
All right.
That coach getting fired.
Lastly, money line. Utah versus Georgia.
Utah versus who?
Oh, I'm sorry. Utah versus Oregon.
I'm going to go with Utah.
Okay.
I think Utah's stronger up the middle defensively, and Oregon's defense hasn't cut it on yet.
Okay.
You saw it against Washington. I told y'all Oregon ain't everything. Michael Penix played out of his mind, but he's been playing out of his mind all year long. But even still, like Oregon's defense is the most disappointing thing about Oregon. Bo Nix only had one interception. I believe he got knocked out of the game, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, I'm taking Utah here because I think Utah is just a better team. And what might be really, really interesting is we won't get into it too much, but bowl projections has Utah playing Florida State and San Diego.
Oh, that's a good matchup.
That's a good matchup.
We've been talking about Utah a lot.
I know, and I would love that matchup, but there's another one secretly too. If everything falls into place in Orlando, it might be Texas versus Florida State.
You like that?
I love it. We haven't played Texas, so I would love to have those two traditional powers pick that up
Okay.
and see where that goes.
All right. So you got Tulane over SMU.
Mm-hmm.
TCU gonna win by more than 12.
Mm-hmm.
Vandy is not going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State is going to cover against West VU. And you thinking Utah versus Oregon?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be smart here, Vandy. But I hope y'all was smart in how y'all celebrated versus Kentucky. And I hope you come back and you beat UF. I don't think y'all ever done that. If you did it once. And I would love for you to do it again. Please do it again. Miami needs them to do it again.
Why? Why? Do we?
Oh man, they trying to get some of y'all players. Them battles ain't over.
Hey, look, Malik Brown just came and said he 1,000% committed.
Oh man,
These boys.
I remember when a player said that last year to about Florida State. He's 1,000% committed.
Yeah, but your own did it to you. That's the crazy thing about it. Your own did it to you. Talk about family.
Yeah.
Talking about cousins.
And is he really my own? Because his degree is from Talladega.
He claimed Florida State. He all. He's all. And some people, even though your boy Randy Moss went to Marshall,
He still claims Florida
they
State.
claimed Florida State. So yes, he's yours with the Jerry curl and everything. With the little terrible rap video y'all did back in the gym when y'all played Miami, trying to be hip and cool.
Look, man, I just want y'all to understand this real clear. Recruiting season is upon us. As you hear us transitioning and during this time, it's because we got one eye on the transfer portal, we got one eye on recruiting for prep guys, and we got one eye on, oh my gosh, these are 3 eyes. We got our third eye open, people. Third eye is open.
My fault, TN.
Coaching changes. They are going to happen. We already have 3 open slots that we are looking at intently, like Auburn, Georgia Tech, and
Josh Gaddison.
and Nebraska. He's looking at Josh Gaddison. Jesus Christ. But in Nebraska, those are really 3 big jobs. You got other jobs out there that are open, but and Colorado's open too, but Colorado doesn't care about football. But as far as things are concerned, jobs will be opening. People will be shuffling. Continuity is a big thing with me when it comes to programs on the ascension. So we're going to see programs who have shown they are good lose talent. It's the reason why Nick Saban ain't dominating right now, and what we said in the beginning of the season, and you saw it. He's lost Kirby. He lost Jeremy Pruitt. He lost, who else was on the staff? Billy Napier. Billy Napier was on his staff. Mario Cristobal has been on his staff. Sark has been on his staff. After a while, Jimbo Fisher was on his staff at LSU. After a while, that attrition starts to catch up. But that attrition hurts other programs just as well, like you see with Clemson, like you see elsewhere. Are these guys going to survive? Clemson started seeing attrition with Jeff Scott getting a job at USF, and now Jeff Scott is out of a job. That is what we're looking at. So when we start mentioning people's names, you can become a little bit of an insider for your favorite team in the Big Three. You can become an insider, period, on recruiting with your team nationally. But we're going to start talking a little bit more recruiting, because bowl season, hey, if your team is playing a bowl game, we'll diagnose it because we're going to gamble. But at the end of the day, we need to know how things are going.
This is bad influence.
Hey, look, we going to gamble. You gamble at your own risk. But that's the Spot the Ball podcast, y'all. You got anything else to add? Good.
Go Canes.
That was the least inspired. You want the pimp stick?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I've been playing with this since I've been here. I want to do it on the podcast, but I was like, I'm gonna be mature and leave it alone. And I wasn't thinking about it when he gave it to me. Yes, go Canes.
The Gators got that little thing that they do at the game now with the whole little the band being played.
I don't go to games for the band, so forget them. Forget them. All I'm saying is, you're not winning this week, but you better win when I go there next Saturday, 8 o'clock. Because I'm going to work. I'm going to fix my schedule. I think I'm leaving at 5.
This man here, already putting out his schemes. All right, this is Spot Ball Podcast.
Emails better not watch this podcast. I'm telling you now. I'm going to leave at 4 or 5 because I'm going straight to Miami.
Oh, man. So this is Spot Ball Podcast with your boy Ron Wells and your boy
Woody Love III.
All right, we're coming to you live from the MyBillReview.com studios. Guys, you have a great week.